by Shawn Cork. I hate you a lot I do. Everything that has happened to me hates everything about you. My struggle in grammar hates you. The way my brain comprehends hates you. The sounds I make when I attempt to read difficult words like a 2-year-old saying mama hates you. Each graded paper I have received hates you. Watch out. 4. I despise you. The long nights rereading my papers over and over and still finding more and more errors to fix hates you. The history we had together hates you. The amounts of punishment you gave me for not understanding how to do my homework and for asking questions on it hates you. This pencil on this piece of paper hates you. My confidence hates you. My determination to get better hates you. A serial killer resembles my hate towards you. All the times you failed me without giving me a chance, hate. My hesitation when you forced me to give a presentation, hate. My thanks for everything you have done at the end of the year, hate. You know how I always asked how to spell simple words, but still had a hard time understanding what you were saying, hate. Layers of hate, a wedding cake. We will never be working together to overcome my problems, hate you. Everything you have told me I could never accomplish hates you. All around I have always hated you. I wrote this poem for a creative writing class in my senior year in high school, and I didn't know that I could put so much emotion behind a piece that I wrote, but when I look at it today, I realize where I was coming from, not knowing that I had dyslexia, and pretty much it was my time in realization that I was trying to reach out for help. The first time I recognized that I had dyslexia was probably back in second grade when we did a skit in class. It was called, I think it was Stone Soup or something like that. And I had a part where I was one of the main characters, and I was excited to be the main character. That means I was going to be the star of the show. I was going to be the number one person to look at. I was going to be, okay, hey, I'm the happy one. But what happened was we got probably close to maybe 3 days away from doing the show, and I had a teacher come up and tell me, sorry, we need to move you down to a side role because I couldn't memorize the main lines. And it pretty much killed me to know that because I couldn't memorize, because at that time, I didn't know this specifically at that time, but I couldn't read and comprehend it, so I could memorize it. I had to be subjected to a side position instead of being the number one in the show, the main character. Once I realized that, I was pretty much scared. I felt dumb. I called myself dumb. I didn't want to go to school ever. I tried to fake sick constantly. I tried to pretty much tell my mom that I was getting bullied. I want to stay home. I want to be homeschooled. I don't want to do anything. And then that pretty much took me up until about 6th grade. So that's the transition from elementary going into middle school. So I'm in 6th grade, I'm in middle school. I went to a private school. So private schools, they normally test your ability and knowledge a little bit harder than a regular public school. So I was sitting in 6th grade. I remember this exactly. I was in social studies with a teacher. I'm not going to give out names because he wasn't a bad teacher, and dyslexia wasn't really looked at that much back then. I was sitting there trying to do the homework, and I told him that I was struggling and I was having a big trouble on, I didn't know what word to say, but pretty much comprehend what I had to read and answer the questions for. And he was just like, I can't believe that you can't read. I can't believe that you're in 6th grade and you can't comprehend what you read. You have to read it multiple times before you can actually answer one question, and then you get to the second question, you have to go back and reread. Are you dumb? And that word right there is what caught me because I call myself dumb. And it was the first time I had a experienced teacher that's been working there for 6 years, 6, 7 years, and to have a teacher, an older role model, tell me that I was dumb, kind of like hit home pretty much. I felt like I was stupid. I wasn't gonna go anywhere. I might as well just drop out now and get straight into work, even though I was only in 6th grade. Now I'm gonna take you to 8th grade. 8th grade, I made a transition. I thought it was better for me to go from a private school to a public school because I knew, quote unquote, people say it's easier schooling. But with dyslexia, nothing's ever easier, to be honest. 8th grade, I went into Burlington Central Middle School, and I was in a reading class when a teacher pulled me aside and she said, "You're reading really low to your reading scores that are supposed to be able to make you pass 8th grade." And right there, it shocked me. And when you start panicking with being dyslexia, having dyslexia, you start messing up a whole lot more in schooling. You start giving up. You start not wanting to go. You start getting really behind. You don't turn in homework. You always make excuses for homework. And then right there, they pointed me towards a school psychologist. And the psychologist sat down with me and my parents, and I pretty much, they wanted me to take this test to evaluate where my problem was, like comprehending, or what the problem was, if I have a disability or something. I made the dumb decision to say no to that, to say no to the testing. I was scared. I thought I was already dumb enough. I thought if I did it, it was just going to make me even more dumb. I thought for a fact that I wasn't going to do anything special-wise in life. And in 8th grade, I already made a decision that I was going to follow my father's footsteps and finish schooling to my best capability and go straight into the construction life. Well, I'm going to skip forward to about sophomore year. Sophomore year came around, I was in Spanish, and it was Spanish 3-4. In Spanish 3-4, it's less of the vocal talking, it's more of the sentence structure. And if you're dyslexic, you hear sentence structure, and you're right there, you're done. There's no way I'm going to be able to pass this class. There's no way. And pretty much I found cheats and little sneaks past the teacher to be able to pass that test. Like, I went to a Spanish translator on Google, and I typed out a sentence in English and use spell check and all that, and it would put a sentence in Spanish on the next page, and I just copy and paste it and put it as my homework. I barely passed doing that, and even the Spanish teacher at that point, my sophomore year, told me that you are showing many signs of a disability that you should get looked at. And still, as a sophomore, I didn't want to get the word disabled or special ed to my name because I felt like it would make me less popular. And now I realize that was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. Probably the stupidest thing that I could ever think of in my head was that special ed or a disability would kill my friends away from me, would leave me as an outcast, would leave me with absolutely no one there for me. And I didn't know why I felt like I would be deserted, because in reality I'm not. But that's pretty much all my life with before I got help. from elementary school to middle school to high school, I had to find little clicks that I can do to make me pass with the bare minimum of a C in all my classes, just to bear with getting through school so I can get my high school diploma. Um, there's many techniques. There is the old look at the person next to you while you're taking an exam. So if I didn't know the question, I would do a quick peek and then look at the teacher to see if he caught me or not. And if I got caught, oh well, I get a 0. It's better than what I was getting in class. Um, Another one was I would occasionally pay people to do my homework. If I didn't pay, I would normally set something up, a deal, something like that, for them to at least give me help or tell me what to do or have them do it. There was times where I had friends that would try to help me and just get so fed up and just say, "Here, I'll do it," and they take it and do it in like 5 seconds while I was there, because in high school we had, I believe it was 45 to a half an hour before we actually went into school. So in that half an hour to 45 minutes, I got pretty much done with doing homework with my parents because it would just turn into a yell fest. And pretty much we would fight back and forth about, we just went over this, why can't you get it now? And my father said that he caught me the first time he realized that me and him were the same was probably about freshman year when I sat down and did math homework with him. And we were doing a simple problem. It was, I believe it was 7 times 3, which is 21. Now, my father, at the time, his strength was math. He loves math because he was a construction worker all his life, so he dealt with fractions, all that stuff. So he was trying to teach me a little trick on learning 7 times 3 or any of my multiplication facts. Well, his trick for 7 times 3 was, what's 7 plus 7? 14. Okay, now use your fingers. From 14, count up 7 more. What is that? And then I would say 22. No, use your fingers. 24. No, use your fingers. 26. Okay, I don't know what else to do here, but it's 21. And I would sit there and be like, how, what? Wait. No, that can't be. And it would just be like that for every question. It'd get to the point where me and my father are yelling at each other, me and my mother yelling at each other. And there'd be times where I'd be by myself trying to do my homework. And I would look at it, get one question done, look at the clock, and it'd be about 20 minutes that I did on one question. And I would just take the paper, put it in my bag, and lie to my parents and say, "Yep, it's finished." And then I'd hand it in with one question done. So yeah, there was times where to make it through schooling until I got help was probably one of the hardest times of my life. It was probably one of the most negative times of my life, to be honest. I do have lots of friends. My closest friend being Derek Sheps and his older brother Alan Sheps. Um, they they're pretty much my go-to friends. Everything that happens to me, I talk to them about everything that needs to go on. I talk to them about. They support me a lot, and I'm very thankful to have those two as my friends. But my parents said that this is going ahead of the question, but once I finally seeked help, I finally got the confidence to talk to other people more, because between 7th and 8th, or 7th till sophomore year, I my mood changed dramatically. Like I was the person that came in that was the Debbie Downer of the class, sat in the back of the class, pouted, didn't want to do anything, lazy, tired, slept all through class. But when I finally became friends with Derek, there was a complete mood change there. I felt like I wasn't alone. He was probably the only person that I talked to ever. And then away from that, I got the confidence to start talking to the other gender, females. And it led to my very first girlfriend. I believe that in my friend that I found support from him that wasn't just family support. I felt a different support towards like not feeling dumb and stupid, like I can do stuff, say stuff around him and he wouldn't care, he wouldn't judge me. And I felt overall that he was giving me the support that I've been looking for my whole schooling life. When I decided to get tested for dyslexia, it was between my junior and senior year this summer, between those 2 years. The second I was tested and I found out that I have it, it's going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm going to seek out help. I'm going to need help. I'm going to do better in school now. I'm going to be the person that I was back in elementary school. The reaction from my parents was amazing because they said that moment when I heard the word dyslexia, they told me that they saw the sight of enjoyment back in my life, the sight that I have so and so found help and I actually know now what was wrong with me and I don't have to feel dumb anymore. I don't have to feel stupid anymore. I can now realize that I have a disability and I can now get help and be better and be so on so a normal child. Tutoring it was a fun time. You can say it changed my academics and being able to read. I actually gained the confidence to read aloud in class. Before I would read maybe a sentence and we played a game called popcorn. You read as far as you want, say popcorn, and then you say another person's name. I'd read maybe a sentence that has like 4 words, and then I'd say popcorn and pick on someone else. To after the tutoring, where now I'll read the whole page and then say popcorn, and then all the other kids would be mad at me because they want to read, but I read the whole page. Tutoring, it was fun for the most part, but again, having the disability and having the problems that you have, it really stretches your mind and really pushes you to a point where you're uncomfortable. And there would be times where I would be sitting there during the tutoring session and we'd be doing an activity and my tutor can literally sense that I was physically done. I wasn't there. So at that point, it takes time for a dyslexic to be tutored and taught everything that needs to be taught because they get so overwhelmed with just maybe one exercise that they do. And you pretty much can't push them to do as much as possible because if you push them, they start shutting their bodies down. They start not listening. They stop trying. They stop pretty much being able to comprehend you, and they just shut their whole body down and not listen to you. And when that happened, I had a great tutor that when that happened, she said, "All right, we're done for the day." And then if I had homework that I was struggling on that day, we would go over that homework and instead of doing another exercise. And to get help in the homework instead of like shutting when my body shut down and my head's just like I can't do no more. To be able to get that help in homework at that time after all the exercises that I've done for the day and being able to see what the tutoring did for the homework, being able to comprehend, being able to read difficult words that I wouldn't ever guess I could ever read. to being able to sound out things was really remarkable and really changed my schooling around. I wrote my other poem called Dyslexia Poem basically as a poem to resemble my effort to reach out to other people that even though you have this disability, you're not always considered to be dumb. You just need to have that extra work and effort to be able to be successful that you want to be successful in class. And pretty much I wrote this poem as an assignment for a class, and it literally took me 5 hours to write this poem. I spent one day, it was a homework assignment that I actually did not do. And she ended up splitting up the class. People that did the homework went this side, people that didn't do the homework this side. And we had to sit the whole class period and write this poem. Well, I started off not knowing what to write about. And it was probably a little bit after I started getting tutoring, started getting comfortable with what my tutoring is doing for me, and my confidence was better. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this about dyslexia. So I decided to write this poem basically to show that even though you are struggling, what you're struggling with now, it will get better. And the more it gets better, the more that you feel like your dyslexia is less of you, the more that you feel like it's dying off of you. And because of this poem, I read it to the class, and the teacher really liked the way it sounded, the way the inspiration, the feeling behind it, that I actually got the chance to read it in front of the whole senior class during study hall and do a question and answer about dyslexia to kids that were my age. And I had kids that I would never even guess reach out to me and say, hey, I've had certain instances where I feel like I might be dyslexic, but I don't want to be labeled as that. And to see what you're doing with your poem and how you're reaching out to people and how you're trying to help people, it's really inspiring to see that you are trying to work so hard to be successful with this disability that it's really changing my look and perspective around about the disability, on how I used to view it as just a disability that was just a sign of laziness and didn't want to try and stuff like that. And you turn it around to me as, hey, I'm trying the best I can, but I'm not going to the point that I want, and because of that I'm getting frustrated and shutting myself down. And to hear that is truly overwhelming, and it still is today. Scribbles on a page bring me into a haze. Words fly around, my head just wants to beat them to the ground. Dyslexia is hard to overcome, but I know for a fact I'm not dumb. Matter of fact, I'm really bright, brighter than a light, my idea so higher than a kite. D-U-M-B does not stand for me. S-M-A-R-T. Now that sounds like me. Hard work and dedication is my motivation. Dyslexia is not hard to conquer, but it can be a big monster. I need to continue to keep my spirits held high. I need to give the disability a drive-by.